and welcome to Digital Schools, our opportunity to share with you the ways in which technology is being used throughout the Port Huron Area School District. I'm Jeff Casson. On this edition of Digital Schools, we'll introduce you to some interesting websites for use in the classroom, tell you what the district is doing to limit access to certain sites on the web, and as always, give you some valuable tips for troubleshooting problems with your computer. But first up, Mark Repp gives us a demonstration of a digital camera and printer that can produce photo quality pictures without the use of a computer.
Hi, I'm glad you could join me today. With me today is Pat Child, and he's a local businessman who works at Kerr Albert in Port Huron. And a few of the things that Pat is going to show us, first of all, one is a digital camera, a camera that takes digital pictures, and then not only that, but also a digital printer as well, and how these two things work in unison to create some very interesting images that can be used in the schools by teachers, principals, as well as students, and are just a couple of the tools that can be used in education today. Pat, glad to have you with us today.
Oh, thank you.
And I want to ask you, first of all, let's get a little background on what you do. I guess this started out, you had some kids, they went to Thomas Edison, and now you're involved in the PTA. How did that come about?
Well, I think it's just about like that. The kids grew up, are ready to go to school. They're currently going to school at Thomas Edison, and I try to be involved with the school and go to the PTA, and I guess the rest has been history from there.
And you became involved with a hobby, and can you tell us about that hobby? And you're sort of involved in technology as just for fun. You thought maybe, what could we do that would be fun?
Okay. Well, my background's a little bit in office equipment, but I like to take pictures every so often, and the one thing that bothered me is that I take pictures, and then I have to get them developed, and I'll run them down to wherever to get them developed, and it takes days, hours, and expense to them. Got to be pretty expensive, or I'll forget the pictures, and not actually pick them up until a month or so later.
Or you could send them in. I guess the cheapest way to send film in would be to send it to Washington or send it to Chicago or something, and then you get it back a week, maybe even a month later.
Yeah, exactly.
Photography's come a long way.
Right. And so a couple of years back, they introduced cameras, digital cameras, and I thought they were cool, just, you know, right from the get-go. But right now, I own an Olympus D500L. At the time, it was about $600. But you can get a camera now for about $150 to $300 that is equivalent to what this can do. Or again, a little bit more, they're expensive too.
It seems like they go down about $50 a month. Almost.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
And we have just one to show today in Olympus. Others that have been used in the district by various schools are Kodak. The Sony Mavica is a good camera which can be used simply by inserting a floppy disk. You can actually do photos, you can do videos, maybe a 10-second video, save it as an MPEG formatted video, and put it right on your computer immediately. The one you have today, it can be used in unison with a Hewlett-Packard printer, which we're going to display in just a little while. Pat is going to give us a demonstration on how to use that.
And on the camera, there's only a couple of things you need. The camera itself and the way it stores the information is called a flash path memory. It's a disk that stores up to about 20 pictures, at least on this one, and some that can hold up to 100 pictures.
And now, do these come in different sizes? How would you know one from the other? A big one versus a little one?
Well, they all look alike, but they have memory to them.
Okay.
And like a computer, you can get upgraded memory. This one here is a 4 meg memory. It can hold approximately 20 pictures, and that's a 640 by 480. That's the quality of the print.
Okay.
But in this particular one, the photos I'm going to show you is at that size. And simply by actually just inserting the card into the camera, turn the camera on, and it works like any other camera. You just, if you need light, you open up the flash, and if you don't, you just point, shoot, and you get your picture.
And all digital cameras basically work with that idea. You point, click, shoot, and it's immediately stored inside the computer through that little card that you just showed us.
That's right.
Now, I mentioned the Sony Mavica. We're not trying to sell any specific camera here today. We just want to talk about some of the things that they do. A 3.5-inch floppy disk, which can go into any basic computer, can go into the Sony Mavica and cannot be saved on that little tiny card, but instead to a floppy disk. The problem with that is it doesn't hold as many pictures as that one does.
That's correct. And the quality of the pictures are a little bit different too. That's why I went to the flash memory versus the disk.
So that's called a flash memory, that little
Right.
card. Okay.
This is a flash memory, and it holds a little bit better quality of picture. And then instead of being a floppy disk, you put into a flash path memory.
Okay.
And you put it in here like so.
Could that possibly go into your floppy disk drive?
Right.
All right.
Now it just turns into a floppy disk.
Because people are probably wondering at home, well, how do you put that into your computer? Well, that's how you do it.
And if I didn't have this, I could use the camera. There's actually a downloading port, and then I just run a cable to the computer. But like I was saying earlier, some of the conveniences, it's easier just to get a card, to read it, and send it through the computer, just like your floppy disk.
So that's probably the easiest way.
That's
the other
probably
way would be to run the cable.
Right.
Okay.
And now with the printer that I have here, all I have to do is take the card and actually insert it into my printer. And it just shows the face up.
We'll see if we can get a little close-up on that printer. This is a Hewlett-Packard printer. What's the name of the actual model?
This one here is called HP 1100.
Okay.
And it's a PhotoSmart printer. And just by inserting the card, I could actually just press the print button, and everything that I've had on my camera just starts printing.
And how long have these printers been around? They're black, as you can see. They look a little different than your usual image, a typical desk writer, for example, DeskJet. Very popular, used in this district right now.
Right. It's been around about a year, maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
And it's pretty good technology. The printers that came out a couple years ago were best at their time. And right now, this is the quality that you can see, not only from HP, but from others. It's just made it very simple. I was able to put my card in, and then by pressing the print button, I'm able to make prints like this, or smaller, and it gives me flexibility. Now, if you didn't want to print them, but actually store them on your computer, we use this thing here, the flash path, and use it like the floppy disk. And we would put it right inside and insert it into the computer.
So we're down here to the tower.
Now
Insert
usually,
it right into the computer.
and now usually you want software to go with it, but if it's a brand new camera, you may not have any. But what I used in some cases, especially with clients and so on and so forth, is you can use Word package. One's by Microsoft Word, and the words they use is insert picture from file. Since it's a floppy, that's what we're going to do. Right now, we opened up Microsoft Word.
I'll get this out of here.
Okay.
Microsoft Word is the program that most teachers in the district use right now for word processing, creating tests, creating handouts and things like that.
What I've done is I'm in a blank page, and I went to insert, and then down here it says picture, and it's asking where from, and it's from the file. And the file that we're picking it from is our floppy drive, the 3.5 floppy.
Which is coming up. There it is.
And then I have 4 pictures right now stored on there. So I'm going to take one and just insert it.
Another kind of neat little thing is it opened right up to it. If it doesn't open right up to it, you just click that little down arrow and find where it is.
Exactly.
Which would be the 3.5 floppy. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we've quickly inserted that picture.
Now the other is just by going over and doing the same thing, we're just going to the next picture.
Try document 1.
Did I document there?
There you go.
There we
And
go.
that was done earlier today.
And the other is you get to view your pictures now. Sometimes you may not want to print it, but it's just a memory that you'd have of something that happened that day.
And not only that, but you could also make that picture smaller and
Oh, yeah.
include it in something that a teacher prepares for a class. And simply by clicking one time and then pulling that little bar down and grabbing it by the handle, you could insert one picture over another.
Yeah, and that's what they call, I think they call that overlay.
Mm-hmm.
And then go into and actually putting in text if there's anything you want to put in there. And I'm not sure, what was her name again?
Shelley Senek.
Shelley.
We could just put Shelley. We could make it bold. We could center it. We've got regular desktop publishing 101 here.
That's it. And even after that, just by putting her name in there, then decide, geez, we really want that a little bit bigger. And if I can see through the lights here.
Right, a little to the right, right there.
Put it into bold, and then also change the size of the picture, or the words. Just in case you can't see your name.
And now you have your own computer graphic.
But that's just an input on Word. Some of the programs you may want to use is like Adobe, I think it's Adobe PageMaker 6.
Photo Deluxe is the one that
Deluxe.
I've seen used quite often. There are many other types of programs that come with scanners that work real well. And of course, calling the technology trainers in the district is another great way we can give you a lot of advice on what kinds of products are the cheapest or the best, and what work basically the best in your classroom for you if you are a teacher and you're in education, like so many of us are on this channel. We would like to thank Pat Child for joining us. Pat, this has become a hobby of yours, and you do a really nice job of demonstrating it as well. And I think that if teachers start using this in their classroom, it will not only help them, but could also become a hobby of theirs on the side. And you've helped Thomas Edison acquire this printer, and certainly could help other people find some things that would work for them in their classroom. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
And join us again next month for another edition of Digital Schools. I'm Mark Repp. Thank you for joining me.
The World Wide Web is a valuable resource tool for educators. Not only does it offer the most up-to-date information on international events, it also has some excellent sites that can be used to help teach the curriculum. In this next segment, Lori Purcell introduces us to just a few of those exciting sites.
Hi, I'm Lori Purcell, and today on Digital Schools, we're going to take a look at internet sites for elementary, middle school, and high school students to look at during the summer. What we're going to do is we're going to visit the different internet sites and see what they have to offer for you and your students. The various internet sites on the internet offer a wide variety of information. The problem is, where do I take my son or daughter and know that they're at a site that's educational and fun? Well, I have a suggestion for 4 different ones. The first one we're going to take a look at is at funschool.com. And the www at the beginning of any internet site stands for the World Wide Web. So it's www.funschool.com, and if you'll click or put that in the address bar on your internet, whether you use Microsoft Internet Explorer or Netscape, in the address bar, if you'll just type that, it will bring you to that internet site directly. Fun School is kind of unique. It breaks it down for preschool students, kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd through 6th grade. It not only has educational things, it has games that they can play that they'll learn at. For example, if we look at the 1st grade site, and all I'm going to do is take my mouse up there and click where it says 1st grade, it gives you all types of activities for your son or daughter to participate in. They can go bird watching, they can do a paintbrush math, and we're going to take a look at that one in particular today, so I just take my mouse over to it and click. The hourglass means that it's working, so we have to give it just a minute to open up. And it tells me my game is loading. Now these are fun games as well as educational, so it will keep your student or your son and daughter excited as well as while they're learning. Our website is finally opened, and you'll see an example. There's 3 plus 2 equals. What it's asking your student to do is to find the answer and to drag that answer over to the quotient, and it now colors it that color. 1 plus 1 equals, your student will find the answer, drag the response by holding the left mouse button down over to the answer to the question, and it now turns it green. So they'll go through all the various math problems, answering them, and coloring their picture. If they by chance choose the wrong answer, 2 plus 2 equals, and I'll select 5, you'll see that it won't color it. So they know that they have to try again. This is just one of the many activities or lessons on the Fun School site. The next site we're going to take a look at is the Seussville site. Dr. Seuss is very popular with young students, and you can find all Dr. Seuss's book on the internet at www.seussville.com. We're going to take a look at what Dr. Seuss has to offer, as well as the fun and games that your students can find there. At the Seussville site, you have games, contest events, and they can even ask the cat questions. If you'll take your son or daughter into the games area, they have a wide variety of games to choose from. You can choose from all the different books that he has to offer. We're going to pick on Hooray for Diefendorf Day game, and all you have to do is click on it. And it says the Diefendorf teachers have all lost their rooms. Do you want to play and help them find their rooms? So we'll play it by clicking on play.
Miss Bobble teaches listening. Miss Wobble teaches smelling. Miss Fribble teaches laughing. Miss Quibble teaches yelling. Miss Twining teaches tying knots in neckerchiefs and noodles, and how to tell chrysanthemums from miniature poodles. Miss Vining teaches all the ways a pigeon may be peppered, and how to put a saddle on a lizard or a leopard.
The object of this is they've listened to the book, and now they want you to click on a door and listen for a sound, and then select the teacher's whose room you think you found. So it's now a comprehension game off of the book that was just read. So they'll have many hours of fun playing with this site. Our next site we're going to go to is the PBS site. Public Broadcasting Service has their own website, and you'll notice it's .org instead of .com, as on most websites that you'll come to. Org means it's an organization that has put this site together. We're going to go into the PBS Kids site, so you're simply going to move your mouse over and click on the PBS Kids. And it will now take you into an interactive site for children of all ages. There's all their favorite characters, Mr. Rogers, Arthur, Barney. Our last website we're going to go to is put out by Scholastic, and Scholastic is at www.scholastic.com. And Scholastic, it provides the reading magazines that many of your students read during the school year. And every month or every week or two, they will upgrade their site depending on the time of the year. And they have all types of activities and information for teachers, kids, as well as the parents. If you want to take your children into their favorite characters and what's been featured in their latest Scholastic paper, they can click on the kids section, and it will give them options for Harry Potter, Goosebumps if that's one of their favorite storybooks, The Babysitter Club, I Spy, and all types of activities. In review, the various websites for elementary students that you may want to look at this summer is funschool.com, pbs.org, Seussville, and scholastic.com. Now we're going to take a look at sites for middle school and high school students. They have various needs to be met as well, and we find many times they're looking for historic or educational sites. So one of the things that we're going to look at is live animals and what's going on at the San Diego Zoo. Many, many zoos have various sites available for you to look at. The LA Zoo, the San Diego, the Cincinnati, the Washington, D.C. Zoo. And all you have to do to find them is do a search and ask for zoos, and you can get to the various sites. We've opened up San Diego Zoo, and the thing that they're offering here is they have a whole panda central site. Pandas are rare, and the San Diego Zoo is one of the sites that have quite a few pandas there, and they have live webcams in there that we can watch. Many times you'll see they'll come up, they want a survey. It's your option to fill it out or not. We're just going to close it by clicking on the X. And we're going to go see what the pandas are doing by going to their panda cam. Now, there is a wide variety of things that are happening. Our panda cam opened up, and you'll see that there is a picture, the time and the date are on there as to when you're watching this and when the last view was taken. Okay, the next site that we want to see is at the History Channel. The History Channel has a wide variety of information, just like you would have on your cable network. So you would go to www.historychannel.com, and that would give you everything that they will have on the TV in the next week. They'll give you more in-depth information on historical events, wars, activities, speeches that have gone on, and your students or son and daughter can check on all the different things that have happened, such as this day in history. The last site we're going to look at for students in middle and high school is the EarthCam site. Now, EarthCams are small webcams that are set up throughout the country in various locations, in zoos. They may be located in museums, on top of buildings in cities, and they allow you to have a view of things that are happening without really being there. When the EarthCam site opens up, you see that it has a wide variety of sites for you to check out. There's EarthCams just particularly for kids. There's bird cams if you're interested in bird watching. There's one in Times Square, one at Big Ben. In review, we're going to look at all the various websites that we went to. We went and looked at the San Diego Zoo, which is one of many zoos that are on the internet. We discovered the History Channel, the Discovery Channel, and earthcam.com. I hope your son or daughter has fun exploring the internet and learning over the summer, and that you'll find these sites very valuable. And this is Lori Purcell for Digital Schools. Thank you.
There's no question the internet offers a lot to students and staff, but as we all know, not all sites on the internet are appropriate for classroom use. In this next segment, we'll tell you exactly what's being done in the Port Huron Area School District to limit access to inappropriate sites. Students and staff in the Port Huron Area School District have access to the internet in every classroom and office. The internet is a valuable tool for the educational process, offering a number of curriculum-related sites, and also it's a valuable research tool. Joining me today from the St. Clair County Intermediate School District to talk about the internet is the Director of Information Technology, Scott Bryan. Hi, Scott. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Scott, we know that the internet is a valuable resource tool, but it also offers sites that aren't necessarily appropriate for use in the schools. And I understand that the ISD is taking some measures to prevent access to some of these inappropriate sites through the implementation of an internet filter. Can you describe what a filter is and what it does?
Very briefly, it's a collection of hardware and software that intercepts a request going out to the World Wide Web, and in our case compares it against a database of sites that are deemed inappropriate and decides whether to allow the request to go through or not.
Okay, without getting too technical, just to help me and the viewers understand, what exactly is this filter? Is it a piece of hardware? Where is it located?
The hardware and software are located at the Intermediate School District, and as I said, it interrupts a web request. It's combined with our firewall and watches for traffic that is destined to go out to a World Wide Web site, and then compares it against a accepted database and determines whether or not the site is allowed to go. And if it's a deemed appropriate site, the user is then sent out to the web.
The idea obviously is to allow students to access sites that are consistent with the curriculum offerings,
Right.
and then deny sites that really they shouldn't be accessing, really have no application to the curriculum or educational process. Could you describe, I guess the St. Clair ISD is the internet provider for several institutions throughout the county. It's all of the K-12 schools, the ISD themselves, but also the public library and the community college. Does this filter block the internet for all of these institutions?
Right now it does not. We've been working with the administration of the public library as well as the community college, and both of those entities feel that it's appropriate for their users to have unlimited access to the internet, if you will. And so they have essentially unfiltered access and can browse wherever they may need to go.
But in the K-12 schools, and specifically in the Port Huron Area School District, the filter is in place and it does block, again, those sites that are deemed inappropriate.
That's correct.
Could you give us a little example? We've got a computer behind us, and kind of give us a little demonstration of how that filter works. Maybe
Sure.
go to a couple of sites and show, what we can get to and what we can't.
Sure. One site that would certainly be appropriate for K-12 students is the White House, the U.S. government's White House homepage. So we can go out to www.whitehouse.gov, and we can go and visit President Clinton or any of the other staff or cabinet members there.
Obviously an excellent site for a social studies class or at the high school POD class to get information about the government process.
Certainly.
Yep.
However, some of the less appropriate websites have changed the name of their URL, their web address, to something that's very close to something that you would expect to be appropriate. For example, www.whitehouse.org we've found to not be a good site. And so if a student at the Port Huron Area School District were to try to go to whitehouse.org, they would have a little bit of problem getting to the page. It loads a little bit slower. Another feature of our filter at this point is if a student should be trying to find some information on something that may be not appropriate for use in the school. For example, if we go to a search engine, and I'm a 10th grader sitting in the library, and I decide I'd like to get ready for the weekend and find some information on beer drinking games. The student will find that is not really supported by our filter right now either, and they'll come back again to the access denied message.
Okay, so the filter at this point is doing its job. It's doing what it's intended to do. It allows them to get to the appropriate sites, such as the whitehouse.gov, but it doesn't allow them to get to some of these other inappropriate sites or do inappropriate searches.
Right.
Question has to be asked, is this foolproof?
No, it's not. Unfortunately, it's a reactive situation where the URL filter and the system doesn't know that a site is bad until someone has been to it. In other words, it has to be present in the database in order to be blocked, and for it to be there, someone has to have entered it into the database system. We subscribe to a service that lists all the websites, or as many of the websites as humanly possible, essentially, in a subscription system, and each website is then listed by one or several categories. And the Superintendent's Council has decided what categories will not be acceptable in all of the K-12 schools. So it is unfortunately something that sites could slip through or not be in the system and not be blocked immediately.
So it's possible that a brand new site that we might consider inappropriate, if it's a brand new site, the filter hasn't been updated right away, and then that shows up, a student can access that site.
That is
but
possible.
Probably 95, 98% of the sites that should be blocked would be blocked?
Yes, a very high percentage of them are picked up,
Okay.
absolutely.
And that brings us to another point in the Port Huron Area School District, as well as in many other districts, probably all of the districts in the county, is what we call an acceptable use policy that we require every student, before they use the internet, to fill out, take home, and have signed by their parent and by the student themselves. And it talks about exactly what we consider appropriate use of the internet to be. It talks about inappropriate use of the internet, and that's accessing some of these sites we're attempting to access today. It tells the student basically how they should behave when they're on the information superhighway. If a student violates this internet acceptable use policy, then the appropriate disciplinary action would be taken, including removing the student's right to use the internet in the future. So while we place a large emphasis on the filter and what it can block, the ultimate responsibility is on the student. And again, we leave it up to the student, and they know that actions, if their inappropriate action will lead to the appropriate disciplinary action. So Scott, I'd like to thank you for joining me today to talk a little bit about this filter and talk about what we're doing in the schools to try to provide students the benefits of the internet, yet kind of deny them access to some of those inappropriate sites.
Certainly.
Appreciate you being here. For Digital Schools, I'm Jeff Casson. Well, that's all the time we have this month. Thanks for tuning in. Join us again next month to learn more about the technology being used in the Port Huron Area School District.